everyone, my name is Mrs Fukushima and I'm the Japanese teacher at White Rock Senior. Today we are going to do make a dinner, and it's called oyako don. Okay, it's a very family-based Japanese meal, and oyako actually means parent and child, and the don part, if you often see a Japanese recipe or a Japanese dish in a restaurant that says don, it means on rice. Okay, so literally translated, parent and child on rice. Okay, so I've got Mr. Swanston here with me today to keep us safe. And we're going to get straight into the cooking. So the first thing that we're going to do is, if you're following your method, I'm going to get you to cook the rice. Now, if you have a rice cooker at home, then that's the easiest way to cook the rice. But if you don't have a rice cooker, I'd like to show you this method of, it's a bit like absorption, so you'll end up with a steamed rice, and it might stick to the bottom of the pan a little bit if you're not careful, but it should be a really good way, an easy way of making rice. If you're going to use a rice cooker, I would also suggest that you wash the rice before you cook it. So what washing the rice does is it gets away a little bit of the starch, and so it doesn't stick together as much and it's not sort of like clumpy. Okay, so
what type of rice is it that we're using today?
So today we're using long grain rice, but we can use, Japanese traditionally use medium grain rice, but honestly any rice that you've got at home is going to work. And this menu, this recipe, I've adapted it a little bit to make it fairly hopefully easy for anyone to make in their home with ingredients that they have. So I've taken out some of the more traditional Japanese ingredients and replaced them a little bit to make it easy for everyone to make in their own home. Okay, so Mr. Swanson, let's go over and start washing the rice. Okay, so I'm going to use the strainer, and that's basically so that we don't lose any of the rice. Okay, if we wash it in the pot, then sometimes when we're tipping out the water, we might lose all of it, okay, or lose a lot of it into the sink. So today I'm just going to use this tap. Ooh.
You can obviously run this on a tap at home. You won't have one of our fancy devices that we have here.
So if you can see down the bottom, you'll see that the water that's coming out of the rice is kind of like a milky, cloudy colour. Okay, so this is just sort of washing off
a bit of starch.
Yeah, a bit of starch is coming out. But I will show you, I'm just going to use the for a sec. I'll show you with some water what you could do. You could just use a really big bowl at home. Okay, I'll just put some of the rice in to show you. And the idea is that we're sort of like washing the grains together. Oops, just put that there. And you can see there that the starch is sort of coming off and the water is going a little bit cloudy. Okay, so just give it a little bit of a wash. We're not going to go overboard today. Oops. Try and get it in there so it doesn't come flying out. Okay, just give it a bit more of a spraying it everywhere.
Yeah. Clean it up later?
Yeah. Mr. Swanson will clean up later for me. Okay, so just getting in there, giving the rice a little bit of a rub. Okay, and then that way. Okay. We can see we're getting rid of that, a lot of the starch out of the rice. Okay, I'm just going to go with that today, Mr. Swanson. I think it'll do the job. Okay. Okay, so back over to the stove. Oh, put my hand. Okay. Okay.
Water would be good to boil it in.
Water would be good, wouldn't it? Okay. So in order to make this rice and for the absorption to work properly, you need to put two parts water to 1 part rice. So if you've got a big family and you need to cook more than 2 cups of rice, or if you've got a smaller family and you need and you need to cook less rice, so just 1 cup of rice, just remember, so 1 cup of rice, 2 parts water. Today we've got 2 cups of rice, so we'll do 4 cups of water. And I've just sent my trusty assistant away to get some water for us. Okay, so put your washed rice into your pot. Okay, I've got my assistant coming back.
I just need to get a second jug full in order to get 4 cups.
Yeah. And you'll see that the water, when it sits on top of your rice, it still might be a little cloudy, but that's fine.
There we go.
Okay. Is that 250 ml?
4 cups is 1 litre.
Oh, that's right, because it's Japanese. Okay, so I was thinking another way. That's okay, it should still be fine. Okay, so now that we've got our saucepan, I'll get my assistant to put it over on the stove. So now with the rice, we're actually going to let it, it's going to kind of cook itself in a way. We're only actually going to make one adjustment. At one stage, we're just going to turn the heat back a little bit. So following your little guideline there, we're going to place the lid on top of the rice. Okay, and we're going to put it on a medium heat. Okay, we do want it to boil. Okay. Fantastic, looks good to me. Okay, so medium heat, and that's going to start boiling. Okay, so I'm going to kind of keep my eye on that while we do the parent and child part of the dish. Okay, so that's on there. We don't have to stir it. We don't have to worry about it. We just have to keep an eye on it. Okay, obviously we don't want it to boil over.
Yep. Makes a terrible mess.
It does. Okay, so the next part is, if you look down at part 2 on your instructions now, we're going to actually start cooking the parent and child. It sounds quite gruesome, doesn't it? So obviously, obviously the parent is the chicken and the child is the eggs. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've got all the ingredients here ready. So we've got, I've actually used 2 really big chicken breasts. Okay, so depending on the size of your chicken breast, if you're using breast, you might only need to use 2. There's quite a bit of chicken there. If you're going to use thighs, then they're obviously a lot smaller, so probably 1 per person would work out well. Mr. Swanson has done a really good job of slicing up the onions, and you can see that they are in half moon shape. Okay, ready to go.
Just on a point of safety, people, when you are cutting up either the onion or the chicken, please ensure you are using a sharp knife. Okay, and as we've done in class, using our claw grip and the bridge hold techniques to keep the knife away from your hands at all times. Also good to have a parent around in order to help supervise you with regards to this.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so the chicken's there, the onion's there. The first thing we're going to do is we need to heat the pan a little bit. Oh, so we've cut everything up, it's ready to go. We need to heat the pan a little bit. So we can heat the fry pan with a little bit of oil. Okay, it doesn't matter what oil you use, okay? Some people have special fry pans that might not use certain or don't use other oils. So any oil is fine.
Extra virgin
we've got
oil.
some extra virgin oil, that's fine. Okay, you can use a little bit of vegetable oil, just a little bit so we can brown the...
At a medium heat?
Yep, at a medium heat.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're just going to heat up the pan and heat up the oil before we get ready to put the chicken and onions in to brown them. I'm just spreading the oil around. Wait for it to warm up a little bit more. Okay, so I brought my own cooking chopsticks with me today. So we're having a bit of a laugh before because I'm sorry, I'm terrible in the kitchen without chopsticks. So yeah.
I'm terrible with them.
Yeah, most people are. Okay, so yeah, we'll just drop these in. Yep. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to brown the onion. So obviously you don't need to use chopsticks, you can use a spatula or a wooden spoon. can just, will that get hot? Does the top get hot?
It does heat up, yeah, so it is a good point. If you do have your lid on your pan, you might want to consider using an oven mitt to lift the pan lid off, because depending on the type of pan you have at home, some of them can actually get quite hot. So that's a good safety point.
Mrs Fukushima, while you're doing the onions there, do you have any tips for the viewers about using chopsticks?
Oh, tips for chopsticks. Okay, so wow, I've been using chopsticks for so many years now. So I guess the biggest point is, if you wanted to try using chopsticks for cooking, I find them really easy. I even cook steak with chopsticks. I can turn steaks with chopsticks, okay? So first thing is, the bottom chopstick really just sits in your hand with your fourth and third finger kind of like resting on it. And then the top chopsticks, you hold it like a pencil, okay? And that's the one that moves. So essentially the bottom one is stationary, and the top one is the one that does all the hard work and the hard lifting. So it's these two fingers, so your index finger and your thumb, that actually control most of the action, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've just really browned that lightly, and Mr. Swanson has popped a bowl here for me. So I'm just going to take the onion out. Okay, drop it into the bowl. There we go. Okay, and now we'll pop the pan on, and we will put a little bit more oil in because we have got quite a lot of chicken coming in. Okay, we just don't want it to stick to the bottom of the pan. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, and that's heating up really quick because obviously the pan's still warm. Okay, so the next thing we do is, it's just coming to the boil. That's great. Let it keep going. Okay, so Mr. Swanson, I might get you to help me with the chicken.
Yep.
Okay, so next job is to start browning the chicken. Thank you. Okay, so just keep it moving around the pan fairly quickly, especially if you're using gas. You know that it turns up really quick. Don't let it sit there for too long, you don't want to burn it. Okay, and I'm just going to actually, it's like searing, so you're just sort of like, the outside of the chicken is just sort of going the white colour, or maybe a little bit brown.
You use the chicken salt?
At this point, no, I don't. There's not a lot of salt and pepper used in a lot of Japanese recipes, so a lot of the flavour in Japanese recipes comes from that soy sauce and sugar kind of flavour. So in this case, hang on, exactly what we said was going to happen happened, okay? So we might just turn it down a little bit, Mr. Swanson.
Yep.
Okay, still keep it boiling. Okay, we still want it, pop the lid back on. We still want it to boil, okay, but we don't want it to, obviously we don't want it to overflow. Okay, chicken's looking good. I probably could have cut it up a little bit smaller, but that's okay. Okay, obviously the smaller and thinner you cut your chicken, actually we can take the lid off for a little bit. We might want to do that. Yeah. We just might take the lid off for a little bit to let some of it, there we go, that'll be better. We just need to boil off some of the excess water on the rice. So we have just taken the lid off. Okay, my chicken is fairly brown. Okay, and most of the cooking for this part is going to be done actually in the sauce with the stock inside it. Okay, so just a few little bits here that I want to finish browning up. Okay. It's okay if it starts to sort of like simmer, because obviously that's what our dish is. It's not about cooking like we cook steak. And just sort of let the chicken simmer, because obviously we want to cook it. Okay. Right, we might throw the onion back in.
Yep.
Okay, put the onion back in. Oh, there we go. Okay, and this is the stage too. If you noticed on the bottom of the recipe, if you wanted to add some more vegetables to this dish, so it's not traditional in Japan that there'd be a lot of other vegetables inside it, but if you want to add a bit more, a few more veggies into your dish, then this will be the time. You can throw in some frozen peas, you could throw in some, cut up some carrot quite finely and throw it in. I'm trying to think. Mushrooms are also really good in this dish. Okay. Corn, if you want to, I don't know about corn. It'll look nice. Yeah, probably like mushrooms, carrot, peas, something like that, or maybe even beans if you wanted to. Okay, if you wanted to make this the dish for dinner and not have to worry about veggies. Okay, so there we go. We've got that down now. I'm just going to pop back over to the bench, leave that simmering there for a little bit. Okay, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, we'll
handle
that way. Okay, so over on the bench I have I have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, and I have 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. It doesn't matter what sugar you use. You can use brown sugar, you can use white sugar, whatever sugar you can find, caster sugar, any sugar that you've got at home will work. Okay, so what we're going to do is they're going to be the main seasoning for the dish. Okay, so can I use that as well?
Onion, I think.
Okay, that's right. I'm sure we can do that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix the soy sauce and the sugar together. So I will use my trusty chopsticks. Okay, and this is the main flavour.
Well, you mentioned about stock. Do you want me to measure out the stock?
The stock would be fantastic, Mr. Swanston. Now, I did say 300 mils of stock. I'm just looking at my chicken. Jump back to the stove. Yeah, that's going along really well. Okay, my rice is going along well too. I'm going to have to put the lid on the rice at the moment. I'm soon not going to put the lid back on the rice because I can see that the water in the rice is starting to evaporate. So that will be... Okay. So I have said 300 mils of stock. Now just looking at my dish, I'll give you a bit of an idea. If we put, let's say we start with 200, Mr. Watson, because I'm just looking at the depth of the pan and how I want to coat the chicken. Okay, so we might start with 200. Now you can use chicken stock, you can use fish stock. You might think it's a bit weird to use fish stock in chicken, but a lot of Japanese dishes are made with dashi, what the Japanese call dashi. And that comes from, it's usually tuna stock, so fish stock. Okay, and even though it's chicken, it might have a little bit of a fish flavour to it. Okay, just got my eye on that rice.
Okay, you think you wanted the lid back on?
Yes, I think we might drop if we just have a look inside. I don't know whether if Mr. Osmond can have a look inside the pot. I can a little bit more. Okay, you can see now that most of the water has evaporated from the rice. There's still a little bit on top, so I think we might leave it for a little bit longer. Okay, and then we're going to, once more of that water has evaporated, we're going to drop that heat and pop the lid on so it kind of like steams itself. Okay, now back over here in my juices. Okay, in my chicken. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to first of all put on the flavouring, because this is really important. This makes the taste of everything. Okay, so I've mixed up the soy sauce and the sugar. Okay, I'll just spread that on top. Okay, and quickly after that, I'm going to jump in with some stock. Actually, no, I think we will need 300.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get you another
Okay.
100 mils.
So yeah, my recipe was right. So 300 mils will work really well. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is just once you've done that, I might get you to drop the heat a little bit.
On the
Yeah,
frying pan?
in the frying pan. Yep. Because we want it to simmer perfectly. Yeah. Okay, oh, that looks much better. Okay. Perfect.
Quite frothy.
Yes, yes, it is quite frothy, but there is a little bit of evaporation that will occur. And also when we put the egg in, should settle itself down. Okay. Yep, that's perfect. Okay. And this is where the flavor is sort of like going to be soaking into the meat and the onion. Okay, so we can leave it sitting there for a little while. Okay, now my rice is definitely ready to have its lid put on, and it's and go. I know, Mr. Osmond, can you have a quick look now, and they can sort of get an idea of. Okay, so once your rice starts to look like that, don't let it go past there or you'll start to burn it. Okay, so I'll get Mr. Swanson to pop the lid on, and we'll turn it right down. Okay, probably as low as we can almost go. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then we've just got the chicken. Okay. While that's going, I might get the tamago ready. Okay, so tamago, Japanese word for eggs. I should have been introducing more things in Japanese as they went along, shouldn't I? Okay, so we had the toriniku. The toriniku is the chicken, and the tamanegi, the onion. Okay, and now I'm going to just lightly beat the tamago.
With chopsticks.
Yeah, with chopsticks. So I'm not fancy enough to be able to crack eggs with one. Okay, so I've used 4 eggs, sort of like 1 per person, 1 per piece of chicken. But if you find that it's not enough, okay, you are able to add more. Okay, I'm not going to put it in yet. I do want it to sit there. I want a little bit more evaporation to happen and a little bit more of the meat to sort of soak up the flavors. I hope my rice is going to be okay. I'm going to turn it off, so we might get a taste of it. See how it. Okay, we might just do a taste test on the rice. Just want to see if it's, just a teaspoon. Because it's looking pretty good, and if that's the case, we can actually turn the heat off and just leave the lid on it, and then that way it will still keep warm. Okay, I might turn that one. I'm just going to turn this one back up again. Just going to turn the chicken up a little bit so it keeps on simmering. Okay, here I go. Okay, so it's super hot. Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. The rice is good. So let's, Mr. Swanson, let's turn off the rice. We'll leave it on the stove. If you've got an electric stove, it's fine to leave it on there as well. And we'll just pop the lid back on it. And the rice is done.
Great.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, so we're just sort of like brothing it up and letting it go a little bit. So when we go to, once we put the egg in, it kind of like binds the chicken and the egg and the chicken things stay together, and then we pop that on top of the rice to eat it.
Sounds a bit like a omelette.
Yeah, I guess it is a bit like an omelette, isn't it? Yeah, and I'll show you once we put the rice in, and once we put the egg in as well too, how some people like Japanese like to eat. Japanese can also eat raw egg. So some people only put it in and really just sort of like tip it around and leave the egg quite runny, or you can just keep bubbling it away till it sort of like goes harder. Yeah, but I can smell it. Can you smell it, Mr. Osmond?
Just wondering what the word in Japanese is for bon appetit.
For bon appetit? Oh, itadakimasu. Okay, so before we eat, we'll have to itadakimasu. Yeah. And tabemashou. Yeah. So you can see that there's the meat sort of like changing a little bit brown, and you can see the stock sort of there. So it's just sort of like looking in. Okay. I'm always happy to leave mine there for a little while and let it sort of like soak up, whatever's there. Make it more flavoursome.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Swanson's been waiting for this bit to see me beat the eggs with chopsticks. So essentially, I'm just going to kind of use it like a, so
just
essentially,
like a
just like you'd use a fork, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to beat them too hard because it's nice to have the different colours through the dinner when you're finished. Okay, so I'm going to leave it. So obviously before we pour the egg in, we need to make sure that the chicken's cooked thoroughly. Now I've left that there for quite a little bit of time to sort of like absorb the dusty, the stock broth. Okay, I'll just spin it around a little bit. I can smell it. It smells really good. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dribble. Basically, you're going to dribble the egg inside the dish. Okay, so just like this. Okay, and you can see it's already starting to cook in some little sections. Okay, I'm just going to add in too, for a little bit of color. It's nice to put in a little bit of shallots. The Japanese call this negi. Okay, put a little bit of negi. So tama negi was the one we had before. That's round onion. This one's called negi or naga negi. Naga means long, so long onions. Yeah. Okay, I'll just put a little bit of those on top, and then I'm actually going to put the lid on. Okay, and that will just help the egg cook that little bit quicker. Okay. Let's see how we go. Okay, so our rice is ready. That's ready from before, and that's still warm there sitting in the pot. You can see the steam. Okay. And we will check the chicken. So it shouldn't take too long for the egg to cook. Just give you a little look. Oh yeah.
Served on a bed of rice.
Yeah, so it's served on a bed of rice. Okay, so I'm about to grab a bowl. Okay, and you can see here where I didn't mix the egg so well, how you've got the white and yellow coming through. Yeah, just to make it look good. Okay.
A spoon for the rice.
Yeah, we just need a spoon for the rice, and then I usually use sort of like a, actually, perfect. Yeah, and something like that, actually similar to get the chicken out as well too. Okay. Okay, Mr. Osman, I'll just get you to pass the bowl if you could. Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay. So I bought a bowl from home today, which is a bit of a Japanese one. Okay. I think actually it came from Daiso and it was like $2.80 or something like that. So if you want to do really authentic, then you can head to Daiso to get one. Okay. Oh wow, looking great. Okay. So you can see now, I won't tip it up too much, but you can see now that the egg is cooked. Okay. The shallots are in there nicely, the chicken's all cooked, okay, and the broth is looking great. So we'll turn that off now.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's time to serve. Now it doesn't matter if there's quite a little bit of broth there because it actually tastes really good on the rice. Obviously we're going to put a bed of rice in here and then pop it on top. Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so my other hint for when you want to scoop rice with a spoon, if you wet the spoon before you start, it stops it sticking. Okay, so do we want to do a quick...
I can do that.
Sorry, my sister's working very hard today. Yep, fantastic.
There we are.
Okay,
Wet spoon.
so a wet spoon. Okay, so just scoop some rice into the bottom of the bowl. Okay, and that rice is cooked really well. There's no burning there, Mr. Swanson. No
Excellent.
problems with what
You don't need to scrub the pan.
no scrubbing that pan tonight. Okay. Okay, so I've just put a little bit of rice in the bottom. Okay. Now I've just got a ladle, so anything like that you can use, and you just need to find, oh, which section would I like to eat, and scoop that bit out. I think I might take this bit over here on the corner. Okay, so my egg is still. Okay, so just scoop it out like that. Pop it on top. Okay. If there's a little bit of broth there, you might want to dribble a little bit of that over because it's going to go down into the rice. And it'll soak into the rice and make it really flavoursome. Okay. Look, the hungriest man in the school just happened to be walking past. Okay.
Drowning in my own salivation. I think I've been salivating here for the last 5 minutes.
Okay, so Mr. Telford, this is, it's called oyakodon. It is parent and child on rice. Okay. So,
Not literally.
chicken and egg on rice, okay? And today it's being helped by my little friend Gudetama. So everyone who does Japanese has probably met Gudetama in my classroom. He is a lazy egg, okay? But he hasn't been lazy today because he's made a great dinner.
A fantastic colour as well, I must add. As well.
Okay.
I don't watch any reality cooking shows, so this is very new to me. So
There's got to be a rating out of 10, is that right?
Oh, I hope
That's
so.
what we're looking for.
It'll be quite hot.
very good, great incentive to come back to school. This is what you get at school. I also appreciated some of the trade secrets as well. Being a tradesman myself, I the wet spoon and the rice as well. Wasn't lost on myself. But yeah, very, very good.
I know, Mr. Telford, you whip up some fantastic things in the kitchen yourself, so this is just a normal day of eating for you. But
Yeah, I'm good at the eating part. I don't know where the kitchen is in my house though. Very nice indeed.
fantastic.
I'd love to be in Mrs Fukushima's household. This is outstanding.
Thank you. Okay, and thank you to Mr. Swanston, okay, for helping me out. And I hope everyone has a bit of fun and tries to cook something really nice with their family while they're at home in isolation. Thumb and your top finger
It's your
basically
lever.
control those buttons. Yeah,
Gotcha.
is your lever.
Yeah.
There you go, your lever.
Oh,
And the further back you hold it, the more control you have.
look further back. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'd be the opposite. And you control with the.
Yeah, exactly like that. So you can probably try a piece of chicken would work. Like it's not the best dish for chopsticks because the Japanese like shovel it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bit big enough, is there? Someone got a bed sheet or something like that.
We should have had the big.
A bed sheet would have been probably just as broken. Oh, that's a good idea. I can just spear them.
Yeah, that's really bad etiquette.
Number
You're not allowed to spear your food.
Go straight past jail. Do not collect $200.
He speared that, he's cheating.
Just spear your food.
It's alright.
No?